Hi, I'm Craig Huey, and thanks so much for wanting to find out more about the propositions. For over 30 years, we've been researching the propositions on every election. We dig deep. We see who's for it, who's against it. We look not just what the statements are saying, but we take a look at what proponents and opponents say. And then we're able to really dig deep enough to have a good understanding. Is it in our self-interest to be able to support a yes or a no vote on this proposition? I'm going to be showing you some slides that I've used at different groups and churches and different events to be able to explain the propositions and to be able to explain why we're making a recommendation. So as we go through this, it's based upon a lot of research, a lot of years of experience, and there's one very controversial proposition that I'll explain as well. And there's some very dangerous ones, dangers to you, your income, your quality of life in the state of California. So as we go through these propositions, I'll try to make them clear and give you an understanding because there's a lot of noise out there. You cannot trust the mail, the digital ads, TV commercials, even the candidates, they're not going to tell you the truth. And so we want to be able to explain this in detail so you have a good understanding. So the first one we want to talk about is proposition number 2. That's the first one on the ballot. The numbers, there's a kind of oddity, especially in this election, about the numbers. Don't worry about those. But proposition 2, authorize bonds for public school and community college facilities. Right there tells you about this proposition and whether you should vote yes or no. Why? Because it's one of a number of propositions on the ballot this time that is a bond. The bond is the biggest taxpayer ripoff. It's not free money. It is extraordinarily costly to every taxpayer. Everybody in California suffers from a bond. And yet the politicians throw it around, pretend it's free money, and like everybody should vote yes for it. So let's take a look at these. And as we do, let me just tell you this. We right now have a massive exodus of people from the school systems. Many school buildings are closing down or are totally underutilized. And same thing with the community colleges. And it's not expected to turn around. Yet this is a bond for very wasteful and bloated bond for a giveaway to the failing school system. The schools are not teaching, and yet they just want to throw more money at it. This is a $10 billion bond for schools K to 12, including community colleges and their facilities. $8 billion in interest just to pay the debt. That goes to bankers and investors. That is money that comes out of the general fund. You, the taxpayer, indirectly or directly, are paying for this debt. And currently, California already has $80 billion in bonded debt and $35 billion in bonds that haven't even been sold yet. So this $8 billion, it's actually $8.5 billion, comes from the general fund, just the regular fund where all the tax money goes into. And so the total cost of this is $18.5 billion in debt. So government public debt steals from future generations. It requires local match. This is one of the worst poison pills on this because it's requiring a local match so that local school districts will increase property tax by issuing local bonds. In other words, your local area is going to go further into debt. And school and community colleges attendance, like I said, is declining. So on this, A yes vote supports the $10 billion bond debt and $8 billion interest payments and from the taxpayer. A no vote opposes this $18 billion bond. 18 billion, unbelievable. So who's against it? The Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, the California Republican Assembly, the yes, obviously the California Federation of Teachers. They're one of the most radical groups. The California Labor Federation, the Democrat Party, and the California Builders Alliance, because they want to get all the building. But it is contrary to what is in the Bible about going into debt and becoming a slave to debt. That's what the state of California is doing. Donations, $1,226,234. Mainly contractors are into yes. Nobody's putting up money really against no. The poll right now, yes, 54%, 44% no. We recommend a no vote on this, and that's why we said no on this proposition. Proposition 3, the constitutional right to marry, and repeal Proposition 8. So you may remember not long ago, in 2008, about Proposition 8 being the right to marry between a man and a woman. Well, marriage as a right and part of the California Constitution, it will repeal Proposition 8 that was passed by the voters. And what it says is that there's a fundamental right to marry regardless of sex or race, and it repeals the Proposition 8 that was basically thought to be unconstitutional by the ruling in 2015 by the U.S. Supreme Court. And a yes vote supports the right to marriage and repeal. A no vote opposes the right to marry to be part of the California Constitution and opposes repealing Proposition 8. There's a couple of major reasons we say vote no on this one. The first one is this is a constitutional amendment. If what I think will happen with this bill becomes a reality, and most experts looking at it say it will, then there's no way to repeal it. It's part of the U.S. Or the California Constitution. So for the no vote, man cannot redefine what God has defined. It removes all rules for marriage. And this is the poison pill on this. It opens the door to child marriage, incest, polygamy, and any other type of weird combination that's going to be part of what you can do in California. This one, Proposition 3, is not needed as long as the Supreme Court ruling holds. Anybody can get married in California. It doesn't stop them. I say there's no need to make it part of the Constitution. Now, the yes endorsements, Gavin Newsom, California Democrat Party, ACLU. The no, California Family Council, Real Impact, electionforum.org. Yes contributions over $1 million polling. Yes, 68%, no, 31% right now. We recommend a no vote. Proposition 4, this is another bond. And it's so well worded, and they put it on the ballot in November because they know more people vote in November than the primary back in June. And that's why there's so many of these propositions this time. And who opposes parks or the environment or energy or water? Safe drinking water, wildfire prevention. They sat down. What can be the widest net to bring people in? Well, this thing is going to be used 40% to fund activities for lower income or environmental issues. That's the corruption of it. It's wasteful. $6 billion is even greater waste in interest to the bankers and investors. It's a total cost of $16 billion. So no, the number one reason is it's a bond. And another massive bond for special interests and radical climate change programs, water and wildfires. That's a government responsibility. It should not be paid for out of a bond. It should be coming out of the state budget. And water projects and wildlife mitigation in California, all these programs have failed despite billions of dollars, all the water going back into the sea that after massive rains. They have failed to be able to do this. We've got to not just give them more money. And then California is under a budget emergency. We can't afford things. And this just puts the state further into debt. So endorsements, the California Labor Federation, the Environmental Defense Fund, the Radical Group, those who saying no, Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, California Republican Assembly, yes, 65% because they're fooled by the title, no, 33% right now. Proposition 5 is lowering the supermajority requirement to 55% for local bond measures. Now, this is a deceptive title put on by the Attorney General Bonata in California. The Attorney General's office, write these proposition titles that may be like this one, completely fraudulent and deceptive, and they can get away with it. This is a constitutional amendment, and it lowers the local bond and property tax voting from a 2/3 threshold to make it easier to pass the taxes and fees. So a yes vote supports lowering the 2/3 threshold to 55% and allows for local cities and schools to have more tax money to finance their projects. A no vote says you keep it at 66.6%. That protects renters, property owners, businesses. It protects us all. So we're recommending a no vote. Lowering the 2/3 request has been part of the Constitution since 1879, and it's a good reason. It protects people from frivolous issues. Infrastructure that they have in this bill can be spent on anything. Its vague term means nothing. And Proposition 5 is a direct attack upon Proposition 13. They keep trying to attack 13. This is one. Higher taxes for everyone and higher rent, higher prices for everyone. So we're recommending a no vote on this one. On 5, California Democratic Party says yes. League of Women Voters, which is always liberal, says yes. No endorsements. Republican Party of California, Chamber of Commerce, Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, National Federation of Independent Businesses. Yes, 49%. No, 50%. This is why you need to vote. Because some of these bonds, some of these propositions, these initiatives, they're so close and they could go either way by just like a couple of hundred votes. Proposition 6, remove involuntary servitude as punishment for crimes. This is the controversial one. So it removes the current provision that allows jails and prisons to impose involuntary servitude or forcing prisoners to work. It requires a voluntary work program for prisoners. It repeals the current language prohibiting involuntary servitude to punish a crime. In the new language, it prohibits slavery and involuntary servitude completely. If you read this bill, slavery is mentioned throughout the bill. It provides earned credits for volunteering to work in assignments. 34 states have these earned credits for education and voluntary working. And in 2022, the conservative Republicans in Alabama, the liberals in Oregon, the conservatives in Tennessee, and the conservative Tennessee governor, and the liberals in Vermont, they all repealed the same language. In 2020, Nebraska and Utah, both conservative, removed this language. And what it is a yes vote says slavery in California should be removed. It prioritizes rehabilitation and supports prohibiting slavery and involuntary servitude as punishment for a crime and instead awards credits for voluntary work. Now, a no vote, keep the Constitution as is. Prisoners should work, and they shouldn't have a choice. Don't be soft on crime, and prisoners could demand higher pay, and poor wording, prisoners could dictate what they do. Now, on the no vote, a lot of conservative organizations are saying no on this that I respect. I think that they are wrong. But it's one of those propositions where you could vote yes, I think that's okay. And you could vote no, and I think that's okay. And you could leave it blank, and I think that's okay because all of your other votes will count. I personally recommend voting yes on it. And let me kind of explain why. Slavery is a key issue for mobilizing get out the vote and organizing angry people against racism and recruiting for radical groups. That's what's happened in California. It's happened in every state. They say there's slavery in the Constitution. And these Republicans, these conservatives, they're saying they want to keep slavery in California. And they get people signing petitions and signing up to volunteer to go door to door for the Democrats. And they register people with this. It is a hot issue that undermines truth, but it also undermines every Republican running, any conservative, because it recruits people and mobilizes them to volunteer, to donate, and to vote. We don't need this. In Tennessee, the radical groups grew dramatically in Nashville, Memphis, Knoxville, and some other places that had never had it. And they just build up a whole new group of voters and activists. Nothing in the proposition is about the biblical concept of restitution for victims. That's what we want. This is kind of a nonsense thing. So the electionforum.org cautiously recommends a yes based on no evidence of harm from other states and have done it and to avoid appearance of racism. The polls, yes 46, no 50%. Proposition 32, the $18 minimum wage. It raises the minimum wage, we've already seen what's happened with raising the minimum wage in the food industry, with the firing of employees, maybe as many as 60,000 employees gone. We recommend a no vote on this. No vote means keep the minimum wage as is. Here's what happens with the minimum wage. I can tell you this as having run several businesses for so many years. It will create more unemployment because people either let them go, they don't hire people. The marginal, the least educated, the least productive, they're the ones who fire the most. It will increase automation. Have you seen the robots? Have you seen all the automation going on at different places? It's because of the minimum wage that California already has. It lowers the tax revenue because businesses are going to be losing more money because they have to raise the prices. And more businesses will leave California. If we're already the 50th worst state to do business, according to Chief Executive Magazine. So we recommend a no vote on Proposition 32 very strongly. Who's for it? Democratic Party, California Teachers Association. No, the Chamber of Commerce and the California Republican Assembly. It says National Federation of Labor. That's a mistake. Donations, yes, 875,000. No, 10,000. Poll, yes, 52%. No, 34%. If we can't get more people to vote no, you're going to see it every time you go into a store, and it's going to be more devastating, and it's going to create more unemployment in California. Proposition 33, prohibit state limitations on local rent control. Everywhere rent control has been, it has been destructive. It stops people from improving places. It locks people into buildings that are beginning to decay. It stops people from coming in and building apartments or building rental homes. It is devastating. It's trying to take a look. It doesn't see the unintended consequences. Housing costs too much. Rent is cost too much. It's because of government programs. And one of the programs, anywhere there's rent control, there becomes shortages of apartments. So a yes vote expands the local government to have more rent control. A no keeps the law, limits local politicians from imposing rent control. We recommend the no vote very strongly. And the yes, Bernie Sanders is all for this, California Democratic Party against it. Obviously, the California Apartment Association, which is the biggest donor to it, to the yes. I'm sorry, to voting no on it, and the Republican Party of California and Howard Jarvis all no. And donations, yes, 15 million. Opposing it, 33 million. And of course, the apartment, the biggest. Yes, 51%, no, 46%. Proposition 34, requires certain participants in Medi-Cal, it should be Medi-Cal RX program, to spend 98% of revenue on patient care. It restricts the spending of prescription drug revenues by certain healthcare providers. This is really weird because it's really targeting the AIDS Healthcare Foundation that uses its extra profits it gets from this requirement to spend it on political action, on being able to mobilize people for its own radical political causes. So our recommendation is no on this new Medi-Cal requirement. It stops the AIDS Foundation from abusing the healthcare system, since the federal government's not stopping it. And it stops the AIDS Healthcare Foundation to spend their money on political activity. It's only right. Yes, Republican Party of California, Chamber of Commerce, Howard Jarvis, Taxpayers Association. No, AIDS Healthcare Foundation, League of Women Voters. The contributions, 14 million $988,000 for a yes. No, 120,000. So we recommend a yes vote. Yes, 53%, no, 43%. 35, creation of healthcare fund. It makes permanent the existing tax on managed healthcare insurance plans that are expiring in 2026. About 40% of California is on Medi-Cal, legal or not, they get it. So a yes vote supports permanently authorizing tax on medical companies, and a no vote allows tax to expire. We think this is a bad bill, increases costs. We recommend no. Yes has $17 million, yes, by different companies, healthcare companies. The polls, yes, 63%, no, 34%. And Proposition 36, the drug and theft crime penalties and treatment mandate felonies. This is the one you have to make sure you vote a yes for, because crime is out of control. Remember, we have from Proposition 47, thefts under $950. Police ignore, they don't arrest. You can just get away with it and keep doing it and doing it again. And the bad guys know it. And crime is skyrocketing because of it. This is one small, important effort to stop it, and highly recommend you get out, you vote yes on this. Who's supporting it? The Republican Party of California. Target, a retailer, is always getting stolen, and you see them locking things up. California District Attorneys Association, police chiefs, Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, and no, Gavin Newsom, California Democratic Party, California Teachers Association, ACLU. The yes donors, 8,972,000. most of it from Walmart and Target. The no, 195,000. Poll yes, 56%. No, 23%. So in a total, these are our recommendations. I hope these quick summary will be helpful to be able to give you guidance of how to vote for, not against your values, and to be able to intelligently make a decision on these propositions. Thanks so much, and be sure to contact us if you have any questions. I encourage you to go ahead and sign up for our newsletter for any updates and new trends that keep you informed, and to be able to find out about books and our podcasts that we have. All right. Thanks so much.
For more information about this election, contact us on our website at craighuey.com. To help defray the cost of the voter guide, you can use the QR code that's on your screen. And to get election updates, our newsletter, or to listen to the podcasts, check out craighuey.com.
Hi, I'm Craig Huey, the Huey Alert, and I really appreciate you as a podcast listener. And I appreciate also our sponsors that make the podcasts possible. I'm not an investment advisor or investment newsletter writer. I'm a geopolitical commentator, but one thing I do know is that oil and gas prices are going up, and the government is putting more restrictions on them. And then there's a unique opportunity that investors could take advantage of. If you're interested, you might want to consider getting a free report that we put together called Biden's War on Energy. And although the purpose of this program is not to make an investment recommendation, we should note that an affiliate of the Huey Alert has separately been engaged in connection with the Investor Relations Services for Prairie Operating Company, a publicly traded oil and gas company and our sponsor. You can easily get this simply by going to the QR code that's on your screen, or you can go to megatrenalert.com, megatrenalert.com, and you'll get free report, no obligation. Hope you enjoy it.